Hello everybody, Rusted Ground here. Welcome back to another Path of Exile 2 video. This time I want to talk a bit about the endgame. In my previous video I mentioned that the campaign portion of the game took me roughly 70 hours to get through. I currently have 120 hours invested in this game, and most of the extra 50 hours that I've put in since my last video have been in exploring the endgame. So what is the endgame in Path of Exile 2? Well, after you defeat the Act 3 boss on Cruel difficulty, you get teleported into this area right here where the world opens up. And I mean that literally, because the endgame consists of you exploring a large map called the Atlas. On the Atlas, as you can see on screen right now, you have a starting point and then a myriad of dots linked together like a fishnet. Each of those dots represents a map where you will have to go and complete certain activities, but the main goal on every map is to clear all of its elite mobs. The game also gives you a series of quests to guide you through the endgame, and there is also a final quest or end goal. The ultimate end goal at this moment is to obtain 3 crisis fragments and open up this location right here and defeat its content. In order to do so, you have to find these crisis fragments, which are located in 3 different citadels, which you would need to find on your atlas. With the first patch in January, Grinding Gear Games actually made things a bit easier for players to locate these citadels by marking them on your atlas when you get close enough to one of them. So, as you can see right here, the Atlas has this fog of war covering portions of it, and as you progress through the maps and you unlock these observation towers, you reveal more of your Atlas. And slowly but surely you discover these citadels, and as you can see right now, I have discovered the location of one of the citadels called the Copper Citadel, but the other 2 are still yet to be found. And what I mean by it's easier to see them on the Atlas, well, if you get close enough to one of the citadels, this flame will pop up out of the fog of war, indicating the location and general direction where you need to go. So, for example, if I pan my Atlas now, you can actually see the location of the other 2 citadels on my Atlas. Lucky for me, they seem to be quite close by. Wow, interesting. Right, progressing through the Atlas requires you to complete these nodes called maps, and in order to do so, you need to unlock them by using these items called waystones. Waystones come in different levels, starting from level 1 and going all the way up to level 15, I believe. As you progress through the Act 3 Cruel difficulty, you will get a few waystones to help you get started at the endgame. And then, as you do these maps, you will get more waystones of higher levels and so on. It sounds simple when you put it like this, but there is a catch. If you open a map by using a waystone and you get killed while doing the map, you lose the keystone along with any loot you've not collected from the ground. And on top of that, you also lose the main properties of the map. And what I mean by that is, if you look at my screen right now, you will see that some of these nodes have some icons on top of them. For lack of a better word, and because I actually don't know what the correct term for these icons is, I call them map properties. So if you open the map legend, you get an explanation of what these icons mean. And if you die on a map with an icon, you lose that icon. Or if it has multiple icons, you lose those icons. And that can be very annoying because these map properties are the meat and potatoes of the endgame. You want to take advantage of these properties and these events. The last thing that I want to discuss in terms of game progression is the questing mechanic. So when you start the endgame, you will get a quest to complete 10 level 1 maps. Once you complete the quest, you will get a book that will let you put points into a new talent tree called the Atlas Tree. And then you will get another quest to do level 2 maps and a level 3 maps and so on. This is very important because this tree will unlock various perks for your Atlas, such as increased chance to find waystones or increased chance to find better loot, and so on. Also, as you can see on the screen right now, there are other talent trees that open up. They are all related to those map properties I was talking about earlier, and I'm not going to explain what these are in this video. I just wanted to show them to you so that you understand the level of complexity the endgame has to offer and the variety of activities that you can take part in. Now, moving on to my experience with the endgame so far, well, at the beginning, I felt that I had hit a wall because when I started mapping, I wasn't able to complete the maps. More specifically, my biggest hurdle were maps that had the breach mechanic on them, this purple icon right here. And I have died quite a few times in those maps, which was very frustrating, and it actually led me to rage quit the game a few times. The biggest issue with not finishing maps was that I had lost all the waystones that I had gathered up to that point. Luckily, at low level you can buy waystones from a vendor, but the problem is that those waystones are all basic. And let me just explain what that means. As with most things in this game, waystones can have their own properties. One of the most important property early on is the percentage chance to find other waystones on the map. Now, when you buy a waystone from a vendor, you have to augment it yourself, which adds to the cost of the waystone, and if you're stuck like I was, you end up wasting a bunch of resources early on, which can become quite frustrating. That was my first gripe with the game. I had moments where I would die on a level 1 or level 2 map, and then I would just log out of the game out of frustration. I definitely felt a bit of a spike in difficulty when I started doing maps, and I thought to myself, well, if this is happening at level 1 and level 2, what's gonna happen later? Another issue that I had at the beginning was what seemed to me at the time a lack of things to do. Just mindlessly killing monsters became quite boring after a few hours, and coupled with the fact that I was dying all the time, I had a moment where I actually considered dropping the endgame and just leveling up another character because the campaign seemed more interesting to me. All that changed, however, once I started to see some progress. I tweaked my spec a bit and things started to improve. Another thing that helped me quite a lot was finding out how to trade in this game. Trading is a big part of Path of Exile and the Path of Exile 2 experience, and if you're a casual like myself or new to the game, you will most likely create a character on normal difficulty, which will give you the opportunity to trade with other players. And I think you should definitely take advantage of this aspect, especially if you get stuck like I did. Crafting in Path of Exile 2 can be somewhat of a hit and miss situation. On the one hand, the feeling of crafting a powerful item is great, but on the other hand, you don't have any real control over what you get, so it feels a bit like a lottery. I'm sure there are a lot of players that do not want to trade or enjoy the crafting aspect of this game, but for a casual newbie like myself, I prefer to grind out the currency and just trade. How do you trade in Path of Exile 2, you ask? Well, without going into too much detail, there is a website where people list their items to trade, and there you can whisper, or from there you can whisper the players in game and trade for the item you want to buy by paying the fee listed on the website. If you are not a fan of trading, the game does offer a mode called Solo Self-Found, where I believe trading is not permitted, and since this mode exists, this tells me that there are quite a lot of players that prefer to play this way without trading. Moving on from this subject, after I've surpassed this big progression roadblock, things started to become very fun. At its core, it is still the case of killing mobs mindlessly, but once you start progressing through the map levels, it's very cool to see your character get stronger and stronger. At the moment of this recording, as you can see on the screen right now, my character is level 80. I am currently on map level 8 progression, and I managed to unlock my third Ascendancy. I did say in my first video that the Ascendancy system in this game is quite brutal, and I still stick to what I said. To give you my experience, I did my third Ascendancy trial at level 79. I was 9 levels over the trial level and I still almost failed. For those of you that have played the game, I'll just say that I absolutely hate the gauntlet trial rooms in the Trial of Sycamas. I haven't gotten any of the items required for the 4th Ascendancy yet, and I think that will happen once I reach a higher tier in the maps, but I'll be honest, I don't really care much about getting the 4th Ascendancy. I also don't intend to grind to max level, which at the moment is 100. I will continue to play the game as long as I have fun with it, and for me, logging in and doing a few maps is my version of having fun in this game. The January patch that came out a few days ago changed quite a lot of things in the endgame. The devs really listened to the community and made a bunch of improvements that were much needed, and from what I can see, they are very in tune with the audience and the community, so I'm looking forward to seeing how things evolved in this, or how things will evolve in this early access. My current plan with the game is to continue playing my monk. The devs have mentioned in a recent interview that there will be a economy reset coming shortly, which might mean new mechanics added in the game. When that happens, I'm actually hoping to get a friend of mine into the game and try playing this in co-op, leveling a different class of course, and seeing how co-op feels. But yeah, that's it from me with regards to Path of Exile Early Access Endgame. TLDR is that I've hit some bumps in the road at the start of my endgame experience, but now I'm having fun and really enjoying the game. I was thinking about making another video to go through some of the endgame mechanics in more detail, so if you would be interested in this type of video, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if I manage to convince my friend to play this game when the economy reset happens, I will most likely do a video about my co-op experience. Thank you very much for sticking around until the end. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.